So this morning we're going to be putting in some power under some stairs, and I'll just swing it round and I'll show you what we've got to play with. So hopefully you can see that. So at the moment what we've got is that socket is on a 32 amp ring vinyl, which I've double checked in the fuse board. Now what's currently being done is you've got a plug that's running there. You might be able to just see it. There's a cable running along there. It runs along there. Behind the light comes down, whoops, here, along here. So we're still following this cable. That cable comes all the way down here to that. This plug then comes into that extension. This plug here goes off to a freezer, and then this plug here goes back up, inline switch, and that powers the light. So what we're going to try and do is we've got to put in a double socket somewhere here. I might put it on the brickwork, probably will put it on the brickwork actually, and then we're going to drill through and we've got to put in another double socket there. So that double socket then will power the freezer. Now as you can see, what we've got here is not a lot of room to really play with properly to keep it within the regs. So my initial thought was, okay, well we could use that socket and I could extend the ring around the wall in that direction, but I can't because of the way the door is. I can't get round the door because that's where the stairs are, so I can't do that. Then I thought I'd come round this way, but this cupboard is fixed, so we can't move that, so we can't come easily around the wall. I'll come to this trunking in a second. So I can't come round it easily to come round the wall. Not easily, not neatly anyway. Now, just discovered this piece of trunking, which comes down that, oops, this piece of trunking comes down here, goes down behind this cupboard, actually ends up, a bit difficult to see, oh there you go, comes down this trunking along here and then through the wall to the kitchen. Now, that's a 4mm cable, and what that does, actually, if I come out here, actually powers the fridge here and this cooker, which is a 3kW cooker. Now this goes back to the board to a 32 amp MCB. That's all perfectly fine. That's perfect with the regs to do that. That's not a problem at all. Now, let's just turn the torch off. Ooh, blinded. So what we could do, because that's absolutely fine, and a 32 amp MCB, a 4mm cable. I'll put on the screen what that's rated for. 3kW cooker and a fridge is not a problem. A 3kW cooker will only take somewhere in the region of 13 to 14 amps maximum, I would have thought. Fridge isn't going to take that much, except when it starts off and it's using its compressor. So given all we're doing is adding a freezer and adding a 13 amp socket there, that is no way going to overload this circuit. So what my plan is either we'll extend another extend it with a 4mm cable through here, through here, along here, at the level that we're going to be putting the sockets in here. So that's nice and straightforward. The alternative might be to put an unswitched fuse spur here, drop it down to 2.5, which again you're allowed to do with the regs, in singles, in conduit, which I think would be miles better looking, and bring a conduit round to here, rather than have a 4mm inside. I could do it in trunking, yes. I could put trunking in. So there's a couple of options there, but I think that's a much better option, a much neater option than what we've currently got to play with. So I'm inclined to do it in conduit and bring it down to 2.5 mil, only because we're only using a freezer. It's only going on one additional socket. Now, the other point that we've got to do is that light has got to come off all this. Now, I've got to have, probably the best way to do that is probably to use a switched fused spur from the ring final and bring it down to a 1.5 mil cable for the light and fit it to the ceiling. I think that's probably the best option we have, and I need to find a reasonable location to fit the light switch. That's what I need to find. I'm not quite sure where I'm going to do that yet. I don't think. So that's where we are with it. Forgot to mention, on the side of this wall, we're putting in a cooker hood there. So we've already got the cooker hood, and it's 100 watts it's going to take. So what we could do is we could put in a switch fuse spur from that, to power the light and power the cooker, because at 100 watts that's not going to be an issue. That's really not going to be a problem. What we'll have to do is come through the wall there somewhere. We'll run some D-line trunking, so we'd have to chase out the wall across the top of that cupboard and then straight into that. So that's not a problem. We could easily do that. Need to think very carefully. If I'm going to do that, then the light's going to need its own light switch and have it on an unswitched fused spur, I think. Right, need to have a think about that as well. Right, got it. So 2.5 mil cable will come out of there to an unswitched fused spur. 2 1.5 mil cables will come out of there along there. Might put it in some D-line trunking, just make it neat. 2 holes in the wood. Two holes in the wood. One will go through the wood and then out this way to the light and a light switch. The other one will come through, straight through the wall, straight to the extractor fan. The cooker hood. And then there'll be a switch for the cooker hood on that socket in the kitchen. So we'll come out of there, and then I'll work out the routing to get to the light and the light switch. Okay, so what we're going to do, so the junction box is there. So we'll get a cable coming out of there into here, put it into a quick wire. Switch line comes down to the light switch, and the other line goes up through, and we'll put some conduit in to the light there. Then the other line goes through to will eventually go through to the cooker hood. Yeah, and then when the plasterboard goes on, we can work out a way of actually making it all nice and neat and tidy once the plasterboard goes on. Yeah. Okay. Let's updates as to where we are. Getting a bit dark now. So here we go. We've got the dry lining box in place. 1.5 cable down there. That's for light switch. And inside we'll show you exactly what we've done so far. So there's the 1.5 cable going up. Ladder. 1.5 cable going up. And the light is a bit in the way. Here's 1.5 cable. It's attached to the woodwork. There and there. I've got a quick wire switch. So that's the switch line going down. Sorry, the switch line is the one behind. There's the load. So the load is coming back. Managed to get a 10 mil hole through the beam, and this cable is going to make up the light. So this light here is moving up onto the ceiling. And then we've got the power feed going along that wood down there, and we've actually made a 16mm hole there to get around that corner to get into that wood, straight through and out. So there's 1.5mm cable going there. That'll go to the junction box I mentioned, then the unfused fuse spur, which will be 6 amp, spurred off the plug socket which is behind the iron there. So that's where we've got to. So I need to get a couple of unfused spurs, one for here, one for down there on the floor. This one will be a 6 amp. And then at the level of the cupboard, so here at this level, there'll be another through hole from the junction box here. So another 1.5mm cable will go through, and that will power the cooker hood. Because like I say, it only needs 100 watt of power, so it's easily capable on a 6 amp spur and a 1.5mm cable. Don't need anything bigger than that for that. So that'll be fine. I've actually got a 1mm flex 3-core, which is a leftover from another job. That might actually do it as well, actually, to be fair. So there we go. So yeah, happy with that so far. Okay, so you join me now where we're going to actually run in the conduit ready for connecting up to the 4mm cable that we discovered in the stair cupboard here. So we're going to come back to that because we've got to move the freezer out, and what we're doing is we are mounting a socket here on this piece of brickwork. Going to run the conduit around this wall, around the back wall there, along here, and join up with the 4mm under there. Now that leg is going to have to move slightly so I can get behind it. That'll be fun. Now, client has requested that the socket on this wall is going to be at a height where a worktop's going to go. So they're going to have a worktop here. So what I've done is I've measured where the sockets are here from the ground, and they're going to be level with that. So they're 150mm above the worktop. So I'm going to drill through from this side into the brickwork. That's where I've measured it, and I've done my laser levels and things, so it's there. That looks like there's a dot there. That's on the screen. So there. So I'm going to drill through there. That'll give me a location for where the socket fronts are going, and then we'll get on from there. Okay, so there we go. So I've got a 2.5mm twin and earth through the wall. That's a 10mm hole, went straight through, really nice. And on this side, got a metal clad box which I'm putting on here. Just by pure chance, I've actually gone through the mortar between the bricks, so it was dead easy to get that on. So I've got a blind grommet inside, and we've got already fitted the 20mm conduit adapter. So that's all done, so just need to get that on the wall. Get that done, and whoopsie daisy. Get that on the wall, and then we can move on to getting the conduit wrapped around that wall. Okay, moved on a little bit since my last shot. I just wanted to get going really. So we've got this one on. It's all hooked up in there, and the reason I've hooked it all up in there is to stop the singles pulling through. So we come down here to the first bend. So we've got the wire. Now what I've done is I've measured out and added a bit, for good measure, about 4 meters of this stuff, because it's about 4 meters to run around this room. So there's 4 meters of that to be pulled through. I know there's lots of different ways of putting singles through conduit. I tend to do it a piece at a time rather than laying all the conduit down first and then trying to get the singles through. Bleeding impossible. So I leave the inspection bins covers off so that I can pull them through at each section. So the next section will be that section there, then that one, then the one behind me. So that side is done. Oh my god, get off the floor. Oh, let's just fall over that. There we go. So, and then that's on there. I'm quite pleased with that, how that's gone on. Now, my logic for how far off the floor it is, I wanted that to be 450 off the floor to give them the option of having a low level plug the other side of the wall. So I could put a junction box in there and then put a plug on the other side of the wall. So, however, that boarding there wouldn't allow me to put in a conduit at 450 off the floor. So I've had to compromise, and that is actually 280 off the floor. It's not a hard, I mean, you're supposed to have it 450 off the floor these days. It's more a buildings regulation. It is a BS 7671 regulation, but on this occasion, it's just not possible to do. I can't do it. It's a shame because I had room there to keep it 450, but I could. That's the stairway above. I just didn't have the room. So, okay, never mind. So we'll get the next conduit in. We'll get it round and around there. Now this length here, from there to there, I've measured, and it is too long for a single segment of PVC conduit. So because you have to have an inspection bend or an inspection point every so often. So I'm going to have to probably somewhere about halfway put an inspection point in. So what I'll do, so I can get the freezer back into under the stairs here, is I'll just go around here, getting all the cables in, get the conduit in, and get it up to the point where I need to put the inspection point in, which will be a 3 box basically, and get that on there. Unfortunately, I've been called away, so I'm only going to get that around there, but at least the freezer can go back into place, and then I'll have to come back tomorrow and hook it into the mains, and then we can get back to doing the light. Next bit's in. I'm happy with that. Just got to go around there and up here. I'll do that next. Right, so there we go. From the plug down through the conduit, down to there, around the back, lays level, look at that. Absolutely spot on. Up to, that's where the inspection point's going to live, and then obviously on and over there. Now, like I say, unfortunately I've been called away to a bit of a family thing, so I'm going to have to end it there, get this freezer back into there, and I'm going to have to come back tomorrow to finish up. Bit of a shame. I think another hour or so, I think I'd have got that hooked in. Never mind, these things happen. Right, so I'll show you where we're up to. So I've got the 3 box there, the inspection box, that's done. More conduit all on there, and that's the, or what will be, the unswitched fuse spare. And then we're going to put a connect into this. This is the 4mm. So junction box there for the 4mm, a 4mm cable into that box. Job's a good one. A few more. I'm going to check this. I'm going to check the new cable I put in for continuity in IR, so that I know that this section actually is absolutely fine before I connect it into the mains, and then we'll connect it in, and then we can get back to doing the light. Okay, I'm just checking this new cabling. So we're doing R1, R2, and we're coming with 0.12 for that. I will check the. We've got 4 meters of run here, so let's do R1, RN. Yep. Whoops, I missed. And I've nulled the lead, so we know we're getting the right thing. Hang on. It does help if I connect the right ones. Could be doing R1, R8. Alright. There we go. 0.11. There you go. So there's no, I've just done the IR as well, so there's no problems there. So there's no problem continuity, no problems installation resistance. So we're hopefully happy with the new cabling I've put in. Right. Just double checking that this 4mm line is the one that's feeding the fridge and the cooker. So I've got my little pin out, and as you can see, whatever's in there is a live cable in there. That's definitely live. So we'll go to the board. And the board, we have one switch there saying cooker, so I've switched that off. The cooker is off and the fridge is probably off. Yep, can't hear it. Back to this. And as you can see, there is nothing at all on that whatsoever. So that just confirms that that is that's that 4mm line. Now, if I leave that as it is and cut that cable, that RCD is going to trip because it's going to think I've got a short. Learnt that the hard way in many jobs. So the only way to stop that from happening is to undo that board, disconnect the cables for the cooker circuit, and we'll put some wagers on the end of the leads and put the cover back on. Yeah, so I need to turn the whole power off to the board and then turn it all back on again. Right, show you where we've got up to. Had a little problem down here in that this cable, it's all off, this cable here, which I thought was a 4mm cable, and it has 4 written on the cable, turns out to be a 6mm cable. So I tried to cut it and it wouldn't cut it, would it? So I had to rush out, go and get some 6mm cable. So this is the new cable I've bought, so that I could actually get myself the length of cable I needed to put these boxes in. Of course, the junction boxes I bought wouldn't work because they were for maximum 4mm cables. So I've had to go and get 6mm cable junction boxes. Fantastic. So what I think it was, I think this was a purely cooker only circuit at one point in the past. Now this cable, the original cable that I cut out, was with the new colour, so it was only done not long ago. And then what's happened is that they've added the fridge, which is a built-in fridge, which I can only assume is hardwired, because you can't put a 6mm cable into the back of a socket. You can only get, well, you might, maybe, at a push, perhaps, but you know, I've only ever seen the back of a 4mm. Anyway, so that was good. So that's cost me a good 2 hours backwards and forwards of getting equipment. Anyway, so we're in, and I've just turned it all on and it's all worked. So we've got 6mm back into there. Couldn't use Wagos, I've had to use the screw terminals that came with the boxes. And you got the 6mm connected through there. So that's all done. I do like these. These are Schneider boxes, by the way, and they came with these, and I thought these are brilliant. So I've managed to get it all in, and I've managed to get it fairly neatly. So when I get the covers on the trunking, I think it'll look pretty good, actually. Now, the issue I've got now is what do I put from there to here, which is the fused spur. Now, technically speaking, I should put a piece of 6mm between these two, and then it goes to 2.5 onwards. Now I've tried it. Those are the terminals in the back of the fuse spur. They will take 6mm cable into there, and it goes down to 13 amps. Yeah, should still be within the regs, because I don't see why it shouldn't be. I know the regs say that a radial should only be a 4mm, but what they've done here is they've intercepted the cooker circuit to put a fridge on. Should they have downrated the circuit to get the fridge in? Probably, to be honest. That's probably what they should have done. And maybe they have, but I can't see behind. I could, you know, maybe they have downrated it at that point, and they've done what I'm doing here. That's a possibility, but I can't see behind the fridge because it's fixed. So I honestly don't know. So I think the best thing I can do is I'll have to run a 6mm twin and earth across this gap here, because if this is in the way and I can't disconnect it, I can't take it down. So we'll have to put a piece of 6mm between there, and then I'll clip it to the wall, and then we've got this to hook in. The only bugger is obviously in doing all this to and fro, I've had the fridge off for the best part of 3 hours now, so it really ought to go back on. So I'm going to put the covers back on these, get the trunking on, and then I'm going to have to power this circuit back up. That's a real pain, because I didn't really want to have to do that. Anyway, we'll see where we go from there. Right, might have already guessed that the light's off in here. I'll show you why in a second. Anyway, so this is finished. As you can see, we've run that 6mm cable into there. I've got to clip it to the wall, obviously. It'll be really awkward trying to get something on there. I might see if I've got some trunking to neaten that up. There's obviously a few more jobs to do in this property. I've got the cooker hood and stuff to do, which need to be booked in for another day. But so if I can, I'll see if I can find some trunking, and see if that can be neatened up a little bit. Put that cable in trunking without having to take that leg off. The leg is the issue. Anyway, so that does work, because we've now got it all plugged into here. So as you see, the freezer's now working from there. It's all tested from the other side. I'll just grab my handy dandy thingy and show that it is working. There we go. So it's all working. So now, why is it so dark in here? Well, there, as you can see, it's like, if you remember what it looked like before, there's lots of cables missing now, because I've now disconnected from the socket over there. So all of that lot's gone, and I've had to, let's just say, work on the light, shall we say. I've had to make some modifications, and the light is now sitting up there with a nice 20mm adapter all ready for it. All the light fittings I've had to take out in order to do that. So I've actually had to dismantle that light and make some modifications to get that to work. It's all in the ceiling. I've had to use these things to get it into the ceiling. Now, oops, got it. I've never liked using these for heavy duty stuff. I tried using these for a shelf once and the shelf fell down. However, for reasonably light fittings, these are a gem. Love these. So I've never had them fail for fitting light fittings ever. Shelves, yes. Light fittings, no, been fine. Anyway, so I've had to use a couple of those on that. So what I've got to do now is 20mm conduit back to the wall. Now, obviously, there's plasterboard going to be going on this wall eventually. So all I'm going to do is run a straight piece of 20mm so it's measured inside this partition wall, and then when they come to do the plaster work, then I'll come back and get the hole drilled into the plasterboard, and it'll look really nice, neat and tidy. You'll need at least one saddle there, to support it, but I can do that, that's fine. Once we've done that, and I've got that cable in, then we can work on finishing that bit there. I may decide to remove that socket because it's not needed anymore. I might put a junction box there instead, but we'll work on it. So that's the socket's done for the understairs and labelled up, just to make sure people know what's going on here. So there's a label there, label over there, piece of trunking just to protect that 6mm. Oh, that looks quite neat. And that bit's done. Okay, quick update. So as you can see, got the light fitted. Here's a conduit go in, and like I say, that's nice. And that will fit straight through into the plasterboard when it goes up. So that's good. So that's in. So now we've got to work on fitting all that lot up. Okay, let's give ourselves a bit of an update. So we have managed to. There we go. So we have managed to get a junction box on there instead of the double socket, because we don't need it anymore. If I come up another step, there we go. So we've just about managed to get it where we'd like it to be. So you can just about see where the ring is coming through the wall there. So we've managed to cover up most of it. Quite pleased with that. Now, in order to cover that up, I've had to sort of compromise, because the cable coming through the wall there that I did the other day is lining up with that fuse spur, which lines up with that conduit, which lines up with the bottom part of that junction box, so that can be covered up. So I've had to make a little bit of compromise here. So that's why you can see the fuse spur box is lower than that one. So it's a shame, but in order to get that covered up nicely, so we'll try and get it covered up as much as possible. That's what I've had to do, and that then lines up nicely with that 1.5 cable, which I'm going to put through. So we've got the power back on everywhere. So the last part of this then is getting that. We need to put in a junction box here. We don't need to do it today, but we need a junction box because another 1.5 cable is going to come out of there and go to the cooker hood. So that's going to have that hasn't got a fuse in it at the moment. I've taken the fuse out, so it's a 6 amp fuse will be in there. So it's all fused down. So that's the ring, just to remind people. That's the ring. We're spurring off the ring through a fuse spur, down rating it to 1.5 cable, so it's a 6 amp fuse, and then out to here. So next job, put a piece of conduit in, put a junction box in, wire that up, and that should then power up the light, and we're done for the day. The extractor hood is scheduled for next week, end of next week. So once I've done this, we are done for the day. Cool, I'm quite pleased with that. Yeah. Okay, we are finished. So it looks a bit odd, but there's good reasons why it's done like it is. So the ring is in that junction box on the right. That's where the old double socket was. That's gone. That's a 6 amp unswitched fuse spur. That's the junction box. So that line currently now goes to the light, which I'll show you does work. Coming on the bottom will be the feed to the cooker hood, which isn't being done today, it's being done next week. So I know it looks a bit odd from this angle, it looks all over the place, but up close, whoops, that junction box and that junction box are level. It's only that's below the level. It's all level. It doesn't look it, but it is. Obviously then we've got the plasterboard to go on this wall. So I'll just go and turn the power on, and I'll show you that all the light works. So light switch, and hey presto, one light on the ceiling, all done. See that a bit better now. And there's the feed, so you can see all the feed, just all nice and neatly put in. Feed wires now, and consider the mess that we had before. Obviously all this will be hidden behind the plasterboard once the plasterboard goes up. And obviously then there'll be holes I'll make for the conduits there and there, and there'll be another conduit that will go through for the cooker hood. And what remains of this is all gone. That's all working. In fact, that doesn't need to be in there anymore. Come out. So that's powering the freezer and powering that socket. Ooh, powering that socket, that's all done. I'm pleased with that. So, like I say, got to put the cooker hood in and some lights. But that's a separate job for a separate time. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you on the next one.